Point number 5. Make things simple. Life isn't complicated. Laziness and lack of hard work make it complicated. That's true. Make it easy. Work for it. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? It's very easy. You just work for it. Just work your ass off. You want to be a super athlete? Work for it. You know, you want to be an astronaut? Work for it. Just it's like one of the very first points, you know, that said, understand and accept that improvement is hard and difficult. Point number 2, it's simple as that. You got to accept that it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be long. And you got to accept that you got to work for it. Whatever you want to be, if you work for it a little bit, you're going to be that much successful. If you work this much for it, you're going to be that much successful. So it's as simple as that. You put the work, you're going to be good. If you don't, it's just, everything is just balance. How much you put out there is how much you're going to receive. Okay. All right, point number 7. It's important to be a good athlete, but it's more important to be a good person. Respect, respect, respect. It's more important to focus on the formation of your character than the technique. Shape yourself as an educated, correct, and obedient person. Obedience as a person that lets himself be guided by those that are wiser than you. That kind of obedience shows you're smart. That's true. Yeah, becoming a good person. One of the things that Tony says Tony says in the speech is like, one thing that we really focus on, Rafa, was like, it's important to be a good player, but it's more important to be a good person. And that's one thing that I read on his book too. Rafa say it's more important to be a good person than a good player. To them, it's respect and being humble. It's all about respect, respect, respect. And they talk a lot about respect to the other person, respect to the other player. So that's something that you really want to pay attention to. I'm gonna give you an example. I grew up in that kind of environment with my dad. My dad was a Davis Cup player, so he knew very well, you know, was high competition at the international level, and he hated every time. I was never the kind of guy that will be boisterous, you know, or show off or anything like that, and I was never mean to the other guys, you know. But when you're a kid, sometimes you really get into it in some matches, you know. And he always said, you know, you never go after the other guy. You never over celebrate, and never dig yourself into a hole when you lose. So you don't go to the extreme on either or side. And I was taught at a very young age, the first thing when you win, you got to understand and you got to remember, class comes first. Class comes first. Class and education. When you got to remember that you beat the other guy and the other guy isn't feeling good. Some people say, I don't give a rat's ass about that. I wanted to beat the guy, whatever, you know, and I understand that. It's up to you. It's your decision what you do about it. But I was taught that way. Say, you know what? Remember that the other guy is feeling bad too. You don't want to celebrate in front of, you know, like right there and then. I don't agree when I see Tsonga doing the jumping thing around the court. You know, to me that's, I just don't like that. I never like that kind of behavior. I don't mind the other guy walking around the court and just, you know, thanking the public. That's perfect. But when stuff like Tsonga, I never been for that thing, because I always think, you know what? First and foremost, I want to respect the other guy too. You know, even if the guy was my arch rival, I didn't want to, like, you know, just like do it, you know, do something like that right there in front of him, you know. So, and I never did it, whether he was there or not. I will never do that, something like that, and I never did. You know, so, well, yeah, that's just an important point. Respect, respect, respect. Okay, more important than anything to succeed is your capacity to bear with trouble. Endurance. If you develop endurance, you'll succeed many times, even when you don't perform at your highest level. Tony said that there is one thing that will really focus with Rafa, and that was endurance. That's why he's what he is right now. He said, I will have him playing with horrible balls, in horrible courts, you know, in horrible conditions, and sometimes they will go and say, okay, we're gonna go train 1 hour or an hour, 2 hours. And he said, you know, and he will go longer, sometimes 1 hour, sometimes 2 hours longer than what he would say, you know. And Rafa, and he just got Rafa used to that. if the training has to go longer for 1 or 2 hours, and he wouldn't even say nothing like, Rafa, we're gonna go longer. And he said, Rafa, I mean, he knew that sometimes he didn't like it, but he didn't complain. He just knew he had to go for it. So he got used to that. He got used to working under difficult conditions, and just forming that endurance, you know, forming that will to fight, point after point after point. And that's something that he was building up ever since he was a kid. So obviously that pays off. And I think that to me, that's key. To me, that's one of the things of the kids, there's so many kids that I have trained in my life. The truth is that, let's assume that let's just throw a number, a fiction number. Let's say that I have trained 200 kids, you know, throughout my life. Out of those 200 kids, I have probably found exceptional kids that you see and say, this kid, he really is non-stop a fighter. It doesn't matter the level of his game or her game. It's just someone that doesn't give up and fights and trains hard. I probably run into 4 or 5 of those kids, and that's it. The rest of them, many of them, the truth, unfortunately, were spoiled brats, and some other ones were just kids that, you know, that just were there because they wanted the social part of being with other kids, and other ones just didn't care. They don't really care. They wanted to be good, but they didn't want it to work hard. So, yeah, you have to. That's a very important. That's a very important thing. Endurance, you know. 9. You can always go a little longer than you think, and you might. You can always, whenever you feel like I'm done, I cannot go any longer. The truth is that many times, I would say that 99% of the times, we quit before we really empty the tank. So that's one thing that you really want to pay attention. When you feel like you cannot go any longer, like I'm totally tired, just think of it. Push yourself just a little bit. It's usually you still can go 1 or 2 more steps. And that helps you. Usually when you say, okay, I'm just going to go a little bit, this bit more, you end up going this bit more, you know, or this. But it's usually go a little more than than where you think your limitations are. You usually kind of push your boundaries. So you got to get used to that. All right. 10. This is something that Uncle Tony said about Rafa. He said, Rafa doesn't have a winner's spirit. Because of the way he has trained, he believes in giving himself another chance. So what he means is that he said, Rafa is not the natural guy that is a fighter. He just believes that there is always another chance. Whether it's in the game with the next point, or with the next game, or with the next set, or with the next match, or with the next year. And you can tell that that's obvious, you know, and you can tell that with Federer as well, and you can see with other athletes that they keep on fighting. And it's not, a lot of people think that they're natural. Oh my God, this guy was born with that. I wish I had that strength in my head. I wish I had that willpower. They're not natural. There is no such things as naturals. There is no such thing as natural. There is just people that work hard and became a habit of working hard every day. And when that habit in the practice, it happens in the practice, when it happens on the court when you're practicing, and you switch to the tournament, there in your mind there is no switch. It's just there all the time. So, and these people, that's what they do. They're not naturals. They were not born with anything special to fight or something. Just like everybody, you know, when they were young, they struggle, you know, to stay in the competition, and they struggle to win, and they struggle when they lose, you know, and it's just they go through the same process. But the thing is, they don't let it get to them when they lose. They always think there is another chance. You know, when you lose is when you learn the most, and you always say you just gotta think, okay, tomorrow will be another day. I have another chance to, you know, I'm not, nothing is pushing you down to stay there forever. When you lose a match, nothing is saying you're gonna be here forever. You're stuck in that. When you think like that, it's your head, it's yourself. So you gotta pay attention to that. You always want to think that there is another opportunity.